Oh, this is so unfair. Everyone says I'm the worst figure of the wave, but Hasbro just used all their money on everyone else, and there was nothing left for me.
Hey, don't feel bad about it. I know how you feel.
Ugh, get away from me, you loser.
Aww.
Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
Street Fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace. The word is...
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk about the new SpiderMan Retro Wave. Just dropped here in the UK. Apparently we got it a little bit early, which is kind of cool because I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. We've got some real doozies in here and maybe some dubious ones as well. I'm excited to have a look at these. And if you want to pick up some awesome action figures, then you can go over to strangeworldcollectibles.co.uk. And if you use the promo code Model Behaviour, you can get 10% off your order, excluding pre-orders. So what's not to like? All right, enough shilling out of the way. Let's talk about the toys, because boy howdy, we got some good ones. First of all, I want to talk about a real crown jewel of this wave. We have Hammerhead. Oh my goodness, maybe I'm being unfair by starting too high at the top, because this might be the best figure of the wave. The amount of work that has gone into this, Hasbro, yes! Yes, Hasbro. That's why I wanted to start with this guy. Because people say I rag on Hasbro too much, and only when I feel it's justified. Because when they do good, boy howdy, I will tell you that they have done great. And this figure, this is a great figure. Absolutely. First of all, from top to toe, look at this Hammerhead face sculpt. Just look at it. They have gone to so much effort to really cast and sculpt a fantastic looking villain, enforcer, bad guy, gangster head. It's so well done that it's almost crossing that line to less comic booky and more sort of MCU-ish. Like, if Hammerhead appeared in the MCU, I could believe like this was like an MCU type figure, because they've got a real human looking expression there, then just exaggerated with these comic book kind of stylisting type stylisting, that's not even a word, but you know what I'm saying, comic book style sensibilities. They've done so well with this. I'm really impressed and so happy. So yeah, the face itself, really great. They got the awesome flat top, and also with the ball joint on the neck, it's got great rotation. You can really get so many good angles looking up and down. I don't focus on articulation too much on this channel, but when it's good, I like to just point it out. It's like, that's really nice. But the big one, of course, is this hefty suit body. And it's not like crazy oversized or anything. He's not like Kingpin, or he's not rotund like Dr. Octopus, but he's just got a bit more heft to him. Because I hate the suited body, the original one that like the Chameleon is on, and a load of other like S.H.I.E.L.D. people and stuff. I just think it sucks, especially the feet. And let's go straight down to the feet. Oh, Hasbro, you gave us what we wanted. You learned your lesson. It only took about 6 or 7 years, but you got suited feet that are actually wide and flat. Who would have thought? Flat feet are easier to stand. This guy, I popped him on the desk, and he just stands up perfectly. I mean, that's just amazing. Like, no balancing, no nothing, just boom. He's like perfectly weighted. Like all things, perfectly balanced. Thanos would so approve of this guy. I love that. It's just the joy of just standing him so easily. It counts for so much. Then, of course, going up the body, we've got this fantastic suit body, which is just beautifully sculpted. And also the pinstripes. The lines in the pinstripe are all really clean. It's an excellent paint job, and you can get him into a running position as well with the head down, ready to charge into Spider-Man. The articulation is just enough, like not crazy articulated, but then again, like he's a dude in a suit, you know, you're not going to be getting him in Spider-Man poses, you don't need to. I mean, he can kick up quite a bit, but again, I don't want to focus too much on articulation because I find it boring. Other people enjoy it, but this is my channel. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the little detail as well. Mainly, this is a big one. The knuckle duster. First of all, like, I didn't even notice the knuckle duster in the original pictures. And then we get him here, he's got the knuckle duster. But I can't quite tell because my eyesight is kind of rubbish up close. I had laser eye surgery and it fixed my long distance sight, but apparently like up close gets a bit difficult. And I think it actually says head on here. So like Hammerhead, like I think that's kind of HEAD across the knuckles, which is just a brilliant touch. I can't quite confirm that, but it must be. I'm kind of holding it at an angle. I think that's what it is. So Hasbro, well done. Again, you didn't have to do that. That's not like a canonical comic thing that you have to include. But they thought, no, how can we zhuzh up this character a bit? And they zhuzhed it so well. Then he's got the baseball bat as well, which I think is the same baseball bat that the Punisher Deluxe figure has, but this one in this darker, varnished kind of color. And that makes a big change, because I think the Punisher one is fine, but it looks a bit plasticky. It's a bit too light. This is a big improvement. I really, really dig that. Now, for the suit body, it's not perfect. Only in as much as the jacket and the waistcoat are all one piece molded together. And I found that with the Morland figure. I really didn't like that because it just felt so kind of tacky. With this, not so much. It would be nice if you could pull the jacket to one side a little bit. It would just give it that feeling of extra quality. But still, the waistcoat and jacket are sort of separate on top of the shirt and tie, so you do have a nice feeling of depth and layers. So that's great in that regard. But on the whole, yeah, I think I've kind of covered the main points. He has different hands that you can swap out, but really, like, why would you not want to have the knuckle dusters on here? That just looks so great. So with the suit, the face, the expression, the mold, the sculpt, Hasbro, 5 stars. Excellent way to start the year. More like this, please. So let's bring it down now. Way down. Nah, I'm kidding. It's not that far down, but it is the Mark I Spider Armor. For whatever reason, and this is really hard to articulate, but it just feels a little bit cheaper in hand. I don't know if it's cheaper plastic or if it's because he's so much lighter than Hammerhead, but when I picked him up and took him out of the box, I was like, it doesn't feel as much like I got my money's worth out of this guy. But that's just the initial sort of tactile kind of feeling. It just feels, you know, on your skin like a bit of a cheaper plastic. But then again, you're not going to be rubbing it against your skin all day. So that's not really that big a deal. It's all about how he looks on the shelf. And actually, how he looks on the shelf, it's pretty eye-catching. I mean, just look at the glisten and gleam. This is a shiny silver. They've done a great job with the paint job. That it can actually, it's not a dull, matte kind of grey, which would have been easy to do. But again, Hasbro, good on you. You've gone for a proper, shiny, metallic paint job that really sets this guy apart. And one thing I really, really am impressed with, I really like, is that even in the original Mark I Spider armor from the comics, it was just like the black Spider-Man costume with the armor on top, but they've done extra sculpting here. He's got all of the sort of texture on the black. It's not just a flat black. He's got lines and dimples and ridges and all these things that bring out like extra detail and just extra effort that's gone into this. And I don't know, maybe that's why this is a cheaper plastic, because it's got more unique sculpting. I don't know. But what I am impressed with is just that they've gone the extra mile when they didn't have to. They could have just used a flat retro Spider-Man body and plopped some armor on top. But they didn't do that. They went to extra effort, and I appreciate that. Now then, with the actual style of the armor and design, I think it's not like quite perfect to the initial comic book one. This is more, I think, like the Spider-Man Unlimited Endless Runner type game. He looks just like the sprite from that. And also, of course, does he have this costume in PS4 Spider-Man? I think he does. I think that's where I've seen it before. But either way, as a toy, in a toyetic, functional, working fashion, it works. So that's fine by me. And also on the back, I love the detail, the way that they've done the segmented spider logo. I think that looks really cool. I'm a fan of that. And then just, yeah, capturing, I like the hood, like the helmet is a sort of separate piece as opposed to going down onto the neck. It just makes it a more unique kind of Spider-Man costume. Now the articulation is, you know, it's decent. It's not amazing though. This is very sort of Bucky cap. I think this might be like the Bucky cap with extra sculpting or something. Either way, there's no butterfly joints or anything. So again, it is like a little bit cheaper, I feel, in that regard. Is it cheaper to make this than the butterfly ones? I assume so, you know. So he's not very articulatable, if that is the term. So yeah, he does feel like a cheaper figure. And one thing that I really lament is that these new Spider-Man figures have, I'm not going to pull the head off, it feels a bit tight, but they have the kind of ball joint as opposed to the disc hinged. So you can't move his head up as much as I would like to. The old Spider-Man, the pizza Spider-Man, you could really tilt the head back and it meant you could crouch them down and have them looking up. This one, not so much. So I kind of just tend to have him standing a bit more sort of stoic, you know, just there, kind of waiting, like, I'm going to come bust you up, kind of a look. As opposed to about to spring into action in a Spider-Man-y kind of way. He has the web shooter hands as well, but I'm just not a fan of characters standing stoic with a web shooter hand. It just looks a bit awkward to me. But on the whole, this is a fine figure, but it's nothing I'm particularly excited about. Will I keep him in the collection? Yeah, probably, but also I probably wouldn't mind selling him either. So he's kind of a, sort of 6 out of 10. Not bad, but not great either. Now let's go up a little bit in the estimation with the black costume Spider-Man, the symbiote Spider-Man, the one who'll hunt Shocker to the ends of the earth. This, they've nailed it. Oh, well done, guys. Again, it's simple. I mean, you don't have a lot to do. You just gotta take the retro body and paint it black. I see a retro and I want to paint it black. With a bit of white. But they nailed it. It's such a nice, clean paint job. And that's something that can be a problem. Sometimes you might get a smudge or a smear or a scrape or a splodge, and that will really, really ruin it. And that's what always worries me about buying action figures online, is you can't see them first. When you're schmoozing and browsing in a store, you can have a look at the box and be like, that looks good, that looks bad, I'm going to take this one. There you go, thank you, 5-finger discount. Only kidding. So this is actually a nice, clean paint job. There's a little bit of scuffing. It's a little bit of scuffing on the shoulder blades there. Not terrible, doesn't ruin the figure at all, but it is there. And as a respectable journalist, you're right, I should point it out. But it's not a deal breaker. I mean, no one's going to post Spider-Man like this. Post Spider-Man like that. That's how it works, face front. So that's absolutely fine. Also, you've got all the different hands. Got the fist, got the thwip, and got the wall crawler, which is great. That's what you need. Personally, if they wanted to throw in another one, I like the special claws, because there's wall crawling and special claws, but still, that's not essential. 3 pairs of hands is quite enough. So if we compare him to the old Pizza Spider-Man is still great. And what's nice is if you want to, you can have this as Spider-Man with the symbiote, and this as Spider-Man with the cloth costume, which is a nice kind of comparison, because of course the symbiote kind of roids him up. You know, he's kind of a roidy Magoo with the symbiote, so he is bigger and more jacked. And then when the symbiote leaves and he goes to the cloth costume, he's the thin, slim Peter Parker. I always like the story where even after the symbiote left, he was using the cloth black costume until Mary Jane was like, look, I don't want to be a pain, but that costume really freaks me out. You know, can you please go back to the red and blue? Because I'm having traumatic flashbacks here. And it's kind of nice. It was a nice kind of human character moment. And it got us back to the red and blue, so that's nice. But also, actually, let me get this guy back here. The eyes. The eyes have it. I really like the smaller eyes. And I'm a 90s guy, so I love big eyes. But this, it just looks cooler on the black costume. This is way more 80s Spider-Man. This is grim, Times Square, gritty New York, small eyes, I'm gonna bust up some thugs in an alley type Spider-Man. This looks really great. It's a wonderful upgrade and change from this. Because at first I was like, I don't need another black costume. I've got this black costume, but no. This is a decent upgrade. Highly recommend, especially if you don't have it at all. I mean, if you don't have black costume Spider-Man, then absolutely pick this up. Because also, being the retro body, you've got some really nice articulation and stuff. Again, only problem, like I was saying before, with the ball joint type neck, you can't really angle his head up as much as you would like to, and that's kind of a shame because I want to have him stooped over and looking up, but you can't really do that. So again, instead you kind of end up with more likely sort of a standing stoic kind of pose. But then again, that looks intimidating like the black costume should be, so I'm fine with that.
What is it, Colonel?
Snake, I've been speaking with Otacon, and we need to change the mission parameters.
Run into something unexpected?
We need you to go to patreon.com/displaying model behavior and subscribe.
Patreon? Is that like Metal Gear?
No, but it does contain exclusive videos that only Patreon subscribers can see.
A real for your eyes only mission, huh? I'm logging in and subscribing now.
Snake, wait. Before you start watching the videos, you need to finish the original mission. Snake? Snake? Snake!
The Model Behavior Patreon. Kept you waiting, huh?
Now, before we bring things even further up, we're going to take him down. Way down. With, oh geez Louise, the Hobgoblin. Okay, this guy. Okay, when there were rumors and rumblings that we were going to get a new Hobgoblin, I'll admit, I'm a sneaky little sausage. I was thinking, ooh, well maybe, strokey beard, I could sell my old Hobgoblin now that he's probably as expensive as he's ever going to be, and then I can just buy the new one. There you go. Line the model behavior coffers. Thank goodness I didn't, because the new one is this guy. This is a real downgrade. A real downgrade. Like, holy jeez, how have we got here? Look how far we came and how far we have fallen. Such a shame. Guys, what is this? I have so many gripes. Settle in. I've already told you to take off your pants and crack a beer because we're going to be here for a little while because I'm going to do something that Hasbro don't want you to do. But I don't care because I'm a maverick. I'm going to dare to compare. Because believe you me, this dude, you don't stand up to under the bright lights of the model behavior comparison. The funny thing is, when I actually saw this guy in the box, I was genuinely surprised. I was like, oh, he doesn't look too bad. Because you know me, I'm just a big stupid kid. Big, bright, bold, colorful. I love that. And this dude is exactly that. He's so bright and bold. And in the retro packaging, he looks so striking. If I had the space to be an inbox up on the wall collector, oh my goodness, he'd be a crown jewel. Just because he's so vibrant. That's really, really great. But then you get him out of the packaging and you start looking at the nuances and the details, and oh boy, do the cracks start to appear, and they appear big. So first of all, look, the main sort of point of contention I think a lot of people have, myself included, is they've got rid of the chainmail. You see, this older Hobgoblin, he has the fish scales, because that's kind of a classic armored Hobgoblin kind of look from the Dread Knight body, I believe. Yeah, look at me, no more action figure history. But they took the fish scales off of this guy. They gave you less detail. Why did they do that? Oh, well, don't worry. They did it for a very specific artistic and classy reason. So it could be more like the animated Hobgoblin. Ah, yes, fantastic. We're going to come back to that. So the color scheme is animated Hobgoblin. The smooth arms and legs, animated Hobgoblin. That's great. Well, I guess the glider's going to be animated Hobgoblin as well. No, because that's going to cost more money. So even though this is full on, oh, we're taking details away because that's true to the cartoon, and you gotta be true to the cartoon after all. We are auteurs over here. So what about the glider? Is the glider going to be from the cartoon? Nah, we're going to use this cheap piece of crap that we always use. Don't worry though, we're going to paint it purple because that's like the cartoon. Yeah, but first of all, this is not fit for purpose. This doesn't work, okay? Look, it's too small. First of all, if you want Hobgoblin to stand on the glider, he has to stand pretty much just straight up, just like standing. Like this is not how you fly a glider. This is how you maybe stand on a glider if you're parallel parking. You know, it looks like he's riding one of those hoverboard type things with the wheels that people fall off and break their ankles on all the time. What are they called? Are they actually called hoverboards? Either way, it looks stupid. This is not a good way to pose someone on a glider. Glider should be down low, crouched, torso bent, head looking up. No, this is crap. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Why? Because you can't get his feet. Look at that. You see? You can't get his feet into the foot holes very well because he doesn't have the curvy boots. The previous Hobgoblin and Green Goblin and Demo Goblin, they all have the curvy boots. You know what the animated cartoon of the Hobgoblin has on the box? Yeah, curvy boots. But no, because you've got to make it like the cartoon. So therefore, he's just got normal feet. Well, guess what? They don't hold in the glider. And again, this isn't fair to do. That's why I'm not comparing the gliders, because this guy had the same rubbish glider. I swapped it out for a better glider, so I'm not comparing that. But he has the curved boots that stay in the footholds. The only way you can really get this guy's boots in the footholds, you got to heat this up. Put it in like a hot bath, hot water, and then you can push the feet in. But again, you're kind of altering the accessory then by that point. You shouldn't have to do that. But even then, he'll still just stand in a really awkward straight up pose. What they should have done, all right, Hasbro, get under the learning tree here, because I'm about to take you to school. This 40-year-old guy in his bedroom with no experience on making action figures in the slightest is going to tell you how to do your job, because, that's my prerogative as a YouTuber with no experience, is to tell people who are more experienced than me with more skills how they could do things better. You're welcome. This is how his feet should be, how his legs should be if he's riding a glider. Okay, that's the position that you want. Crouch down low, looking up. That's it. But unfortunately, this does not fit in that glider. So that's not working like that. What, that's his legs are too wide. So what they should have done was pose him in the glider pose. This is how you want to have him, and then built the glider around that. You see, that would have made so much more sense. Instead, they built a glider that's too small and went, he'll figure it out. Well, yeah, you can do, but it doesn't look good. Put the goblin in the glider pose, then make a glider that fits. Because also, that would not have any struggle fitting in the box. That really wouldn't. It's still a relatively flat piece. So no, it's just lazy. And it's such a shame that this could have been a great re-release. So many people wanted another Hobgoblin. And then we got one and it's like, oh boy. And then there's little things as well. Like even he's got his satchel here. He's got the satchel on the side. But we've lost detail. Again, we're moving backwards. That's what's really depressing, guys. The satchel here is just plain plastic, no extra paint or anything. The old Hobgoblin actually has paint on his satchel, on the clasp, on the belt, on the buckle. It's more work has gone into this. This one, you got the paint on the front here, and this one also has that same paint on the front. So they did the paint on the front, and then they said, shall we do the extra paint on here like the original one has? Nah, it'll be fine. No, it's not, because you're going to have, whining man babies like me on YouTube pointing it out. And I'm doing it because we're paying hard-earned money for this. I know you guys work hard for your money. I work hard for my money, so I want to get my money's worth when I buy action figures. But hey, at least, there isn't a Build-A-Figure with these, so you can take them or leave them. But it's just a shame, because I know a lot of people were really hankering for a new Hobgoblin, and this is just a disappointment. It feels, the bright colours feel very, toyish, but, not in a good way. This feels more like a toy than an action figure, and that's kind of a step back. But at least with the head sculpt, I don't mind the head sculpt, actually. I like the fact that they've given a bit of a wash on the yellow, and that's kind of cool. That brings out some more of the detail, so that's something there. But that's about it. Really, to be honest, I can't really see much else that gives it quality or worthiness of buying. Certainly, if you own this guy, you got zero reason to pick this up. Absolutely zero reason. So he is the most disappointing figure of the wave, but also not disappointing in as much as we saw the pictures, we knew what he was going to look like, and then we get him in hand, and that's what he looks like. So if you don't have a Hobgoblin at all, then yeah, I suppose he'll fill the spot. But ultimately, if you've got the original, then oh my goodness, you do not need this guy. One little thing I almost forgot. One little thing I'll give credit. We're moving forward. Okay, so maybe they took the budget for the paint job on the satchel and they instead applied it to the pumpkin bomb. This is the prettiest pumpkin bomb we've ever had. Well done! This is lovely. This is really, really nice. It's annoying if I sell this Hobgoblin, I'll have to sell the pumpkin bomb with him. And this is the one bit I'd like to keep. It's the same design, the same mold they've always had. But look, you got the lovely green smoke coming off of the orange bomb. Normally it's just like one plain orange bomb. Or it was just like one single shade of green. Now they've added more nuance to the green. I really like that. And even more so, they've painted the eyes and the mouth of the pumpkin bomb. That's really nice. It's so much more effective. Looks really cool. So thumbs up, more like that and less like this. Alright guys, I can't bear to be salty for long. So let's not do salt. Let's actually do a lot of sugar with the shocker. Oh my goodness, this guy is really, really great. Hasbro, fantastic! Fantastic! I love this guy. They've really put a lot of effort into making this a decent, good, classic shocker. I'm grateful for it. That's really, really awesome. The sculpt itself is perfect. There you go. Perfect sculpt. The beautiful boots, the gloves, but more importantly, you've got the nice quilted effect on here. That's awesome. Because people were complaining, and I understand, people were complaining that they hadn't painted in the lines on the suit, and I can see that, but also at the same time, don't slay me for this, but I don't mind that it's not painted, because this yellow, this is meant to be like a cushion, like a quilt. It sort of absorbs the vibrations, so it's not armor. It's not like it's segmented armor pieces. This is soft, and that's how I would imagine a quilted kind of costume would look, without deep black lines that differentiate armor plates or anything like that. It's not Kevlar. That's kind of the funny thing that, you know, people, Spider-Man would make fun of the Shocker that he's wearing a duvet. So that actually makes a lot more sense. That's absolutely fine. I dig it. I appreciate other folks don't, and some people will add a wash themselves or get out the little pen and add the lines. Hey, if you got the skills, the time, and the patience, go for it. But me personally, I actually dig this just the way it is. No complaints. The head sculpt, it's a good, thick head sculpt. Like, he looks like a bit of a meathead, and that's cool. There's nothing worse than an action figure with like a pinhead that doesn't look decent. This is really good. I really, really like this. Also, the brown on the costume, again, extra effort. It could have just been a flat bit of plastic, but they've added a little sort of detail, a texture to the brown, so it looks like leather. That's so good. They could have scrimped out so easily. We wouldn't have even noticed. You know, I probably wouldn't have even given it like a bad mark if it was just smooth plastic. But they went the extra mile on the boots as well. It's not smooth. It feels like it's made out of a different material. So good. Really excellent effort. Also, even with the hands, first of all, the open hand, it's just the fact that there's just like a nice bit of sculpting. It's not just like a stupid, like, holding an invisible cup type hand. There's like a little nuance to the fingers. It makes such a big difference. And this is quite unique in the figure, that the hands come away halfway up the forearm there, because that incorporates the gauntlet then. The only problem with that, and it's only a very, very small one, is that if your elbow joints are a bit stiff, then if you sort of apply too much pressure, you'll pop off the hand rather than move the elbow. So when you try and move the elbow, if it's stiff, you really got to heat it up and then try and manipulate it from the elbow joint without going too high. But again, you can see I've managed to crack that. That's not a problem. Sorry, when I say crack it, I mean like solve it, not crack it like Spider-Man 2099. This is a good kind of cracking. So yeah, that works so well. The actual, again, more effort, the sculpted belt. They could have cheaped out with this. They could have done a cheaper version of the belt, but they didn't. They've sculpted the nice kind of V shape in there, and it's not a separate piece, which that doesn't really matter in the slightest, honest. I was thinking, like, would it have been nicer if it was a separate piece? And I don't think it would really make any difference. So that actually looks absolutely fine. Then you've got the actual fist hand for blasting. We got the same blast effects we've always had. Different blast effects would have been nice, but at the same time, I mean, these fit the role perfectly well. It's not what I would envision when I see Shocker. I imagine more like just the lines, or maybe even like a lightning crackle. But still, it does the job. So that's okay, it's fine. But on the whole, seriously, I think this Shocker is so well made. And also, you can put him, unlike the Spider-Man, his head is on a, what do you call it? Like a disc hinge, which allows him to crouch over with the torso crunch, with the ab crunch, and look up as well, and that's what I want to go for. So you can put him in a dynamic, crouching, firing kind of pose. That looks really, really great. Honestly, I love this guy. And finally, let's finish with my guy. It is Ben Reilly. Yes, anything Clone Saga related, of course I'm gonna love. And getting a brand new Ben Reilly on the Retro Spidey mold, yeah, that's an easy win for me. And they've done a fantastic job. And it's funny, if you augment him with some other pieces and parts, then this figure just comes to life. So on the whole, this is actually kind of average, because it's just a repainted retro Spider-Man. That's all it is. He's got the extra hands, which is nice. He's got the fist, the thwip, and the wall crawling, so that's great to have that mixed up a little bit. But the head sculpt is a little bit disappointing, because it's still the original kind of small eyes head sculpt. Being a 90s character, a quintessentially 90s character that was predominantly drawn by Mark Bagley with the big eyes, it would have been so great to have had the bigger eyes on this. So that's a shame, but ultimately I don't mind too much about this head sculpt, because this ain't how I'm displaying him, because now you get to really bring this character to life, because this is great. Yeah, this is fine. It's fine for what it needs to be. The paintwork is really nice and slick, clean, clear lines. One little problem I have with a lot of the Ben Reilly designs that I will find in comic books or anywhere is that the lower part of the spider, like the thorax, I always think it should be like a diamond. You know, it should be like triangular, but they always just do like a splodge, just like a black sausage at the bottom, and it just looks kind of a bit lame. I think a more angular sort of diamond for the thorax would look way better, but that's a small little nuance type piece. The rest of this, the only sort of gripe I have is that we've got the pins. It's such a shame that this seemed to come along like the day before they brought out the pinless tech. So on the elbows it's fine because it's blue either side, but on the legs here with the red on one side and the blue on the other, you're going to get that kind of mismatch, and that's a bit of a shame. It's not a huge gripe, it's not a deal breaker, but you see it and it's like, we should be past this by now, but it is what it is. But yeah, this in itself is lovely, but let's look at the head swaps, because my goodness, the head swaps, that's where the money is. First of all, we've got the retro Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly head. This, I'm kind of starting with the big one first, because on the live stream, like, my face when I did that, it just brought this figure to a whole other level. Oh my goodness, he looks so great with that unmasked head. I absolutely adore this. So fantastic. It fits perfectly. It's funny because it was designed for the smaller, skinnier Pizza Spider-Man body, but on this heftier, chunkier body, it still looks so good. It fits perfectly, absolutely perfectly. Love this so much. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying. You're saying, Dave, that retro Scarlet Spider costs a freaking fortune right now. So it's all right for you, but I don't want to spend $50 just to get a blonde head. Don't worry, you don't necessarily have to, because we can also do this with the Pulse, what am I trying to say? The Hasbro Pulse Johnny Storm Fantastic Forehead. I think it's not like perfect, but my goodness, it's pretty darn good. So if you want that Ben Reilly look there with the blonde hair, and also these colors, I got to admit, these colors on the head are a bit brighter, a bit more animated looking than these ones. So arguably, you could say this does go better. I prefer the expression on this, but still, I think this is excellent. So the fact you can do the unmasked head, oh my goodness, that's absolutely wonderful. But also, of course, if you have the original Sensational Spider-Man, you can do Spider Carnage. So let me just do that. And here is Spider Carnage. Oh my goodness, this looks fantastic. Again, I'm dealing with a limited budget, but I so want to get another one of these figures because it looks so good. Originally, I was thinking, oh, well, this can be my Ben Reilly, and then the pizza one can be my Spider Carnage. But now with the head and the hands fitting so well, I'm like, geez, I kind of sort of want another one because this is just fantastic. Yes, the blues on the hands don't perfectly match the arms, but I mean, come on. It really doesn't matter that much. The head is terrific, and the red on the head matches the body, no problem at all. That's absolutely perfect. So there's so many different ways you can display this guy. Absolutely phenomenal. He would be the best of the wave if these accessories and the blonde head came with the figure, but I appreciate that was a bit of a bridge too far. So he's kind of on his own sort of average, but then when you add all the extra accoutrements, if you've got them, then oh my goodness, this figure is just elevated to another level. Fantastic job with Ben Reilly. Alright folks, so now we've got to put these in order, and for me personally, like, the bottom is easy, but my goodness, up at the top it gets very difficult. So right at the bottom, we have the Hobgoblin. Cheap, lazy, disappointing, not what I think anybody particularly wanted. Then we've got the Mark I Spider Armor, which I could give credit for having new sculpting and a nice sheen and shine on the paint job, but he just feels a little bit cheap in hand. Without great articulation, he still kind of like factors into my sort of standing as a more basic kind of figure, so he only gets the sort of penultimate spot there. Now we have Black Costume Spider-Man. Okay, he's just a repaint of the retro body, but that retro body is a really good body, and they've done a great repaint with nice clean lines. I love the smaller eyes, and you got the different hands as well. If you're just starting a new Spider-Man collection, this one is kind of essential, so definitely go pick him up. Now we've got the ones I really love. The top half of this set is real top. So we're going to start off with Ben Reilly. I love this figure so much, but mainly because of the things that you can add to him if you already have other figures. Just on his own as the basic repainted retro body, he's good, but he's not great. If they had included an unmasked head or the Spider Carnage pieces with this figure, this could easily have been in the top spot. But because he's essentially just a repainted retro, then I'm only going to put him right in the middle, but still, this is where the figures get really good. Now, the top spot is so difficult. It seems to go back and forth in my mind all the time. But I'm going to say in the number 2 place is the Shocker. He could have been number 1, but I feel like maybe they could have added the lines in the costume. I don't know. I'm so torn on that. I think I prefer it without, but still, I'm just, flip-flopping on this. But still, what we've got here, again, whether he's number 1 or 2, he's still fantastic. Love the sculpt, love the colors, love the articulation, the way he's put together. Really excellent figure. But the number 1 spot has to go to Hammerhead. For me, I think this is a perfect rendition of a character. Yes, he's just a guy in a suit, and I think people are like, nah, he's just a guy in a suit, he's not that exciting. But that's what Hammerhead is. Sometimes you don't need to go crazy, just give us what the character looks like, and that is what he looks like. Occasionally I'll say, oh, this character looks kind of boring, but I give them credit because that's how they look in the comics. But this character, he doesn't look boring. They've given him a pinstripe suit. That's really nice detail. He looks like a proper gangster. Then he's got the waistcoat inside, and also it's a bigger, thicker, chunkier body. Then you got the stuff like the knuckle dusters, the baseball bat, and an incredible face sculpt. I might have to do that for a new category at the end of the year. Best face sculpt, because this guy would be an early contender. I love all the effort and work they've put into this. Would have been quite nice to have had a Tommy gun. That would have been a nice little addition. But the fact he's got the baseball bat, the different hands, that's absolutely fine by me. Fantastic figure. And guys, that does it for the SpiderMan Retro Wave 2. Wow, what a fantastic wave it was. There was so many good things on here that I'm just absolutely thrilled to add to my shelf. Yes, there's a bit to gripe about, but on the whole, I am so pleased. Like, the good stuff is so good, it makes up for anything that might have been a disappointment. Hobgoblin, I'm looking at you. But yeah, Hammerhead, Shocker, Ben Reilly, wonderful figures. I'm so happy. And that does it for this review. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 Clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And don't forget to hit that notification bell, because I was looking at my statistics, and they actually tell you how many of your subscribers got notifications, and I'm like, YouTube, why are you telling me that you're not doing your job? Like, no one gets notifications unless they actually click the bell, so there you go. But yeah, if you want to do that, that would be awesome. If you want to pick up a t-shirt, you can do at teespring.com. Check the link in the description below, and if you do buy one, then send me a picture, because I always mark out over that. That's super awesome. I'll include it on the channel if you do. I appreciate that. And finally, if you want to go one step beyond, just like these good brothers and sisters here, you can go over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way. Helps me keep the lights on and put these videos out. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Coffee, big time.